Hello, and welcome to my presentation for an organization that is going through and is mandated to change. And so it's to include the rapid resolution practice in their operations. So, hope you enjoy my presentation. Let me introduce you to the organization and the overview of the change they are seeking to implement. Hope Center Incorporated is a 20-year-old nonprofit in New Orleans, Louisiana. They have been their whole mission and purpose is to eliminate and eradicate poverty in the community and in the lives of individuals. So most of their work is around anti-poverty strategies and implementation through workforce initiative, educational excellence, and the securing and retaining of assets. In this case, the organization is a provider and has been helping the homeless and aiding the homeless in um, a practice called Housing First. Those who present homeless, and it could be a single individual, couple, or family, and they're they have two sides to what they do with the homelessness. One, they do engage and work with the literally homeless, those who are literally on the street, who living on the street or other places not meant for habitation. So they help them get into permanent housing with supports and help them build a support system. The other side of what they do is they help prevent evictions for those who may be encountering homelessness because of whatever has caused them to not have permanent housing or are at risk of losing their permanent housing. One of the things the organization has um, 10 million to do this work, and the funder is now requiring a change in how they engage with homeless persons and wanting them to implement a rapid resolution practice. And what rapid resolution is it's a diversionary method to engage the homeless in problem solving conversations so they don't enter homelessness. Um, or if they do or enter, emergency shelter or stay very long with living on the streets once they're, initially discovered. And so what this is to help them from going into the system, homeless management system. And so these problem solving conversations with the individual that is presenting homelessness is to seek other resolutions for them. Maybe they can go live with a family member. Maybe the cost of living is too high, and they can go back to another low cost housing area. So it's a number of different tools, but it's basically diverting the individual from the homeless system or becoming homeless. Key factors that's creating this situation. The organization is a part of a continuum of care, which is made up of a partnership of 60 agencies. It's a collective impact model where there's a backbone organization and the intermediary that kind of gathers everybody and they work together to eliminate or end homelessness in the city of New Orleans. They had great success, and in that success, they were able to reduce homelessness by 89%. But they're starting to see a slow uptick because of the economic factors that are in the city. The key partners are, of course, the organization itself, Hope Center, as well as the continuum of care and these other 60 agencies that are made up of rapid rehousing agencies for permanent housing, permanent supportive housing agencies, as well as emergency shelters, city, state, and local government entities that have an interest in working on homelessness. The timeline for the launch of this project is very short. It was introduced in February, and they're expected to have the change and the practice launch by July 1 of this year, 2019. In the organizational diagnosis, of course, we use the WISE board six box model. Um, the first is the purpose, and in Wise Board, they six box model. He purports that one of the things you have to make sure when you're introducing change and diagnosing is the organization ready for change. Is that do they really know their purpose? Do they have their goals, or is it clearly defined, or do they have a goal? One of the things is that yes, the organization has the goal, um, not only as a single organization, but as a part of the continuum of care, the homeless management system in New Orleans. The goal is to eliminate homelessness. Everybody is very clear on that. Rapid resolution practice is an initiative to help towards that. Um, and one of the key factors that is unique in this situation. The organization is not just charged with implementing the practice within their organization, but they're also charged to implement it in the whole system. So you're talking about getting 60 agencies to implement this rapid resolution practice. The organizational structure is a mechanistic structure with elements of organic structures, informing groups, work groups who come up with innovation. Um, and so they have each of their programs has a program manager. And then there is functional as well. It's divided by function. So they have case managers, they have housing specialists, they have outreach teams. And each of these teams actually have to work together to service the individual. And so their structure is very linear and but also functional, and it seems to work. The other thing is that you have the COC to contend with, which is this continuum of care COC. The structure is it's an intermediary organization with a number of organizations who are members of the COC. And so one of the difficulties there with that structure is that these organizations who have come together to address homelessness, it is not they can be very autonomous. They can choose to participate in the COC or not to participate. The rewards. One of the things about rewarding, the organization Hope Center has a number of reward systems, from bonuses to um, incentive increases for meeting certain metrics in place, recognition of staff, and all of that. And so they do have the rewards in place, as well as the COC structure has it in place as well, about recognizing, creating campaigns and recognizing individuals for their work in achieving the change. The relationships. The organization has very good relationships, of course, with the funding source, has very good relationships with other key partners to help them achieve the change. The COC, the relationships are the leaders of each agency has a relationship with the leader of the backbone agency, which is the COC. Um, and so those relationships are good. They understand about working together. But like anything else, they have tension. The leadership at Hope Center is very open. They're coaching. They're a coaching leadership style. They're a lead by example type of leadership. They make sure that they're well versed on each function, and how each function of their programs work, so that they can provide guidance to the staff. Um, and also, they're very engaging of the staff. There's more work that needs to be done with the COC leadership. More we need to understand. The COC leadership is a strong leadership. Stern has been very successful in all of their endeavors. Um, but we really don't know that organizational culture of the backbone organization. The helpful mechanisms that are um, in place is that Hope Center has the funding to implement the change, the resources to actually re conduct, be able to use funding to shift to this change. Um, the system, they already have a data collection system in place to collect data on the change and its effectiveness, and to see where they want to go. They have enthusiastic work group and theme, um, ov- team rather. Overall, in concluding the organizational diagnosis, they are paused for this change. It will not come without challenges, because it's not just an internal organizational change, but it involves an entire system, which makes it more complex. And with good communication um, about the practice and what it will bring, will help them eventually in initiating the change, not only for their organization, but also system wide. The action plan, the vision for the outcome is that the rapid resolution change will be implemented by its deadline, with at least 10 to 20% of of homeless persons presenting will actually be in the rapid resolution practice, and we will see the decrease in the numbers of those entering the homeless management system by 10 to 20%. The strengths of the group is that we have a work group that's very enthusiastic about um, implementing the practice. They are very in tune to what needs to happen, the actual training, the actual skill set that needs to be built in within the system and the organizations. Um, and so we have a good group of champions, as well as the backbone organization, the COC leadership is really a champion of the rapid resolution practice. The obstacles to change are the attitude. One of the things that we have observed that has come up is a lot of times organizations are worried that if this change is successful, that there could be a reduction in funding, which would impair the funding to their organizations, and even eliminate their organizations. And the reason why this is a big obstacle is because this group has been working together for the last 7 years in addressing homelessness for additional populations. The first target that they went after was veteran homelessness, and they successfully reached the functional zero in addressing veteran homelessness, which caused them to lose out on about 4 million in funding. Um, Another area they worked on the 100 Homes campaign, was very successful in achieving that. And because they were successful with these different campaigns, um, it, the COC lost funding, and there was even a couple of organizations that were eliminated and had to close down because what they basically do, all they do is address homelessness. So the obstacle to this challenge is that we will face resistance from organizations that this will be another method that will reduce funding to the homeless providers and even risk more organizational closures. The action step, communication. One of the things that we are endeavoring to do is make sure we're communicating what the rapid resolution practice is and is not. It's a diversionary method um, to homelessness, is building the strengths of the particular individual who's presenting homeless to help them see other resolutions other than entering the homeless management system. And so we want to make sure we're communicating what is the practice, also involving other communities who have implemented the practice already and who have seen success. In dealing with the resistance, I do believe the communication is key. Also, that we actually offer the training for the skill sets for their staff, in that it will help defray the cost, and they'll get some professional development with their staff as well. Also, another strategy is to garner as many champions as possible so the champions outweigh the resistance. Involvement, one of the key things is, if this is going to be successful, is getting the involvement of the leadership of all the agencies in the partnership as well, the involvement of the city, involvement of the funder, to acknowledge that this is a practice the way that we're going and that it's been successful in promoting that. Lastly, the leadership, we have most leadership on board. The leadership is very strong. This is not implementing change is not new to them, and implementing these types of campaigns are very much in their wheelhouse. So we are happy for that. The timeline for change, as I said before, is from, it was introduced in February, and it's supposed to be launching in place by July 1, 2019. The skills, knowledge, and the attitudes that we need to see, the work group has identified that in the skills and knowledge area, that staff need to, the specific employee needs, we need to build the skills of having problem solving conversation, talking about trauma informed care, rapid resolution overall, what is the practice, negotiation and mediation skills, conflict resolution skills, all of those. And the attitudes we're looking for is that, change is not negative, but this is a positive change, because we're going to be able to help people resolve homelessness a lot quicker, and that you're not working your way out of a job, having the attitude of working your way out of a job, but your attitude is, we're working our way to another level of service. For recognition and celebration, we always celebrate our ending of our campaigns by recognizing the champions, by recognizing those organizations who have fully supported the initiative, and the data backs it up, and celebrating that and getting awards and naming navigators of the month and of the year and organizations of the year. So we are very well versed on um, the recognition piece of it. Here my presentation, and here are my references.